Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so today is a very special book episode. What is that? That's when I bring on an author that we recently published in one of our series and give an interview on the chapter that they wrote for us also and talk a little bit more about their business. So today's return guest and recently published author is Martin Rowinski, and he is the CEO over at Boardsy. Martin, welcome back to the show.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you very much. Very, very excited and feel blessed being welcome back.
All right, Martin. So first off, congratulations on being chosen for the book. When I saw your subject matter, first of all, I love it. So the title of Martin's chapter is Every Company Should Have a Diverse Board, and we're going to go into that. I just want to say, so how do you feel now that you're done and you're published and you have your work and message out there?
Well, relieved. It's been a dream for a long time to write a book. Definitely not on this subject, because I don't go back that many years in this company with being with Boardsy. But you always fear the factor of a big accomplishment. It takes a lot of time and effort. And seeing this opportunity to partake in a chapter felt like a great beginning to ongoing writing. So I am glad I took this opportunity, and I appreciate the guidance along the way, and here it is.
That's awesome. So we're going to get into your chapter, but before we do that, I know you've been on the show before, but I don't want to assume that all of our new listeners caught your first episode. So let's start off with you telling us a little bit more about what you're doing over at Boardsy, please.
Yeah, no problem. So we created Boardsy a few years back, and we have a few stages there, but the main idea is what companies out there either lack or take a very long time in doing, and a lot of times they don't have the time to do so. And it can also get expensive if you do choose the route of using a recruitment company, which usually strategically recruitment companies go after CEOs, big headhunters. And just building out a board, whether it's a board of directors or board of advisors, they can still do it, but that's not their forte. So we chose that niche, and we focused on basically helping anybody from a startup company to a public company in replacing whether it's one board member or building out an entire board of directors or sometimes just board of advisors. So we have been building a network of executives, they're top-level executives that we basically acquire, and they let us know that they are ready to give back. They have time available to be on boards, and they are ready to do so. And then basically just have a matching system as we bring on a company. There's a lot of factors to match them up with, but, as simple as skill sets to what they've done before and what industry we're looking at. And we basically match them up and introduce them and help along the way if needed to bring on that person onto the board.
That's awesome. And I think this is a great transition to your chapter. So every company should have a diverse board. First off, what was the inspiration for this writing?
So, as we got into this business, we knew that what everybody always laughs about, right? How do I get on a board? And everybody always says, well, you got to have a friend that has a friend that knows a friend that knows the
You got to know a guy. You got to know a guy,
exactly.
right?
And usually, you got to be 65 years old and well-established executives, and it's just not true, right? I mean, there are some people that are not 65, and we strongly believed when California basically came out and said, hey, we need to break this anatomy of this person that is has to be a 65-year-old well-established male. So they started basically telling public companies, obviously, is who they're trying to control, but start telling them that they need to diversify by having female on the board, or a certain percentage of females. So, we love that, and we always believed that prior to, California even saying that, just pretty much what my chapter talks about, because there is a lot to gain from diversity, and not just whether it's male or female, or age-related, or color-related, or race-related. It doesn't matter. Diversity is and can be a very, very good thing for a company. There's a lot to be gained from that. So that's what this chapter is pretty much about.
So one of the things I like about your chapter a lot is it also does this, it kind of goes through some of the nuances of what the boards do and like the difference in responsibilities. So you have, and it was just really well laid out, because I feel like a lot of people maybe have heard of boards, or they want to be on boards, or maybe they even served on a board, but they don't really understand like how the overall structure and the function of the board or functionality kind of works. So maybe go into that a little bit.
Yeah, so you're right. I mean, a lot of people do feel like, they reach a certain time in their life and they feel like they want to be on the board, but very few, and obviously we deal with executives every day, all day long, and a lot of them are in that position, but they don't realize what it takes. Being on a board of directors on a public company, definitely not an easy task to accomplish, meaning getting on that board, the interview process, the type of person that they're looking for. But also from the executive's point of view, understanding what it takes to be on that board. This is not a job where you just clock in and you do your work and you leave. So there are a lot of responsibilities, from the legal aspect, from having a D&O insurance, and a lot of people, when we tell them that, they don't even know what D&O insurance is. So, which is fine. It's a learning curve, and a lot of times what we also tell them is, board of advisors might be a better beginning. So you start understanding the concept, the idea of being on a board, but it's not such a structured board, very, very formal. So there are definitely two options for executives to gain that experience. And lastly, we are building a training module that will actually help executives understand even further all the details that they will need to know to be ready to be on the board.
No, that's great. And so let's talk to a different segment of the audience right now that are listening to this, that maybe they're not looking at, being on a board, but maybe their company is at the point where they're thinking about, will creating this board or their first board, is that going to benefit them, right? Like what in terms of structure? So talk a little bit more about from the company side.
Awesome. Love this side. We love both sides. We love seeing people grow, but watching a company just smile when they find that executive that they get back to us, they're like, I can't believe you made this happen. This is only somebody we could have dreamed of, having on our board as an advisor, and taking our company in this industry, having this veteran and when I say veteran, I don't mean like in age, because sometimes it could be somebody younger who has just made a difference in a specific industry, whether they sold or mergers and acquisitions. They had made something big and made a name of themselves, and now they're going to come into another company and basically do the same thing, or help them do the same. So it is very rewarding for us to see that sort of a thing. But as details on why a company should, or some companies don't think they need a board, or we're doing great, we're doing good. It's really interesting when a company looks into it. We have a few of those, that looks these. They come in and they're like, well, maybe I just don't know if this is for us. And this could be a company with 100 employees doing pretty well. Their board is pretty much made up of owners, maybe investors. Maybe there could be one independent board member. But then we start looking at the company and start seeing whether it's holes or things we can really plug, or, do you have a person that can do this, or do you have this sort of a person? And start pitching ideas, and all of a sudden light comes on and like, well, no, not really. So we'll look in our database, we'll make some connections, we'll set up some interviews. Next thing you know, they're super excited on bringing on 1 to 5 board members as a board of advisors. And watching that go from just, I'm just curious, to, wow, I can't believe I interviewed these people and the difference that they can make, and the ideas that they gave us just in the interview, what they can do here, we never even thought about. And it's just those fresh ideas from diverse executives that make the difference.
No, that's a big deal. I love it, and I think it kind of opens up the mind of people listening in terms of whether they want a board, they need a board, or from one side, but also the other side is whether they should serve on a board, and especially because part of your chapter, of course, is about diversity. Also for people from different backgrounds to consider serving on boards, because I feel like that stigma that you mentioned, have to be 65, have to be this, have to be that, like that's in people's heads, and there's a lot of other backgrounds that could serve well and do very well, helping other companies by leveraging their expertise, which maybe they weren't even necessarily considering. So I think it's a really cool angle. It was one of the great reasons why I was happy to publish this chapter, because when I read it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. Like I get it, and it makes sense, and I think our readers are going to love it, and I think it's going to spark some change. So I think overall, great job on your work, and it's an honor to publish it. So that being said, though, we're about out of time on this episode, Martin. Even though I know we can talk about boards all day long. I know that's what we do. That's what we do at Boards Eye. I know we do. But that being said, if somebody is listening to this, so two-part question, final question. Somebody's listening to this, and they're, either a company that's considering putting together a board, or they're, a potential board candidate, and they want more information. I mean, what's the best way for them to reach out and learn more about Boards Eye?
Yeah, really easy. I mean, 2 ways. Either go to boardseye.com, schedule an appointment with us. There's a couple links on there to do so. If you're a company looking for board members, there's also a page in there dedicated to companies with a short form. Or quite simply send us an email at info@boardseye.com, and we'll be there to answer.
Fantastic. Well, Martin, really appreciate you coming back on the show, and congrats again for being chosen for the book. Awesome stuff there. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. If you did, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a review on the Apple iTunes Store, and if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, Mission Matters Money, definitely give us a subscribe there, but also leave us some comments on the comment section. Love to know what kind of projects and things that you're working on. And Martin, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you, Adam. Talk to you soon.